Welcome back to part 2 of our journey through the 12 uncomfortable truths of aging. If you've made it this far, you already know, this series isn't about fear. It's about freedom, the freedom to talk honestly, feel deeply, and age with eyes and heart wide open. In part 1, we uncovered the subtle shifts that often surprise us as we grow older, changes in memory, energy, weight, medical routines, focus, and social connection. These weren't just symptoms of aging, they were signals, invitations to slow down, reflect, and reclaim our strength. Now, in part 2, we go deeper. We'll explore the emotional landscape that so many older adults quietly navigate, unpredictable mood swings, changes in how we see and hear the world, disrupted sleep, sensitivity to temperature, and perhaps one of the hardest truths, what it means to ask for help without losing your sense of self. These next 6 truths are not always easy to face, but they are essential because in naming them, we begin to release shame and invite compassion. In understanding them, we begin to replace fear with clarity, and in sharing them, we remind each other that no one is aging alone. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to Daily Elder Advice. Click the bell icon to get notified of future videos, and like and comment to let us know what resonates with you most. Let's continue this conversation. Let's keep growing. Let's honor this chapter of life, not by hiding from its truths, but by embracing them fully. Let's begin part 2, chapter 7, The Stiffening Stride, Losing Mobility Bit by Bit. The story, John's Morning Steps. John Carson, 81, used to be known for his stride. He wasn't a speed walker, but he had a bounce in his step, a kind of natural rhythm that made him look 10 years younger. Every morning, rain or shine, he'd take a brisk walk through his neighborhood, waving to neighbors, picking up the occasional trash bag someone forgot, and chatting briefly with the mail carrier. But over the past year, that walk had changed. First, it was a stumble on uneven pavement. Then, it was a strange soreness in his hip that didn't go away. One morning, his knee buckled entirely, sending him to the ground. He wasn't seriously hurt, but he was shaken. From that day forward, John's walks became slower, shorter, more cautious. He stopped waving to neighbors. He stared at the ground to avoid tripping. Eventually, he gave up the walks altogether. "I used to walk to feel alive," he said. "Now, just standing up feels like a risk." His story is a quiet one, but not an uncommon one. For many older adults, losing mobility doesn't happen all at once. It slips away gradually. And with it, confidence, independence, and joy often follow. The reality, the hidden cost of losing mobility. Reduced mobility is one of the most significant predictors of health decline in older adults. According to a study by the National Institute on Aging, even a slight decrease in walking speed is linked to higher risks of hospitalization, falls, cognitive decline, and mortality. Mobility loss impacts everything, from bathing and cooking to shopping and socializing. It chips away at independence and can often lead to isolation, depression, and a fear-driven lifestyle. Why it happens? Muscle loss, sarcopenia, begins as early as your 40s and accelerates with age. Joint stiffness and arthritis make movement painful or limited. Balance and coordination decline due to changes in vision, the vestibular system, and muscle function. Fear of falling leads to inactivity, which in turn leads to even more weakness. What you can do: rebuilding strength and confidence. 1. Start with gentle movement. Walking indoors, stretching, or chair yoga can restart muscle engagement. 2. Strengthen key muscles. Focus on the legs, core, and hips, muscles that support balance and stability. 3. Use tools without shame. A cane, walker, or rail isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of wisdom. 4. Work with a physical therapist. Personalized routines and progress tracking can do wonders. 5. Stay consistent. Progress is slow, but regular practice makes it permanent. 6. Celebrate small wins. Standing a few seconds longer, walking one more block, bending without pain, all count. Real-life insight, reclaiming power, one step at a time. John eventually accepted his limitations, but not his defeat. With help from a senior fitness coach at his community center, he started slow, stretching while seated, using resistance bands, learning to fall safely, and even practicing standing up from different types of chairs. Months later, he returned to walking outdoors. Not far, not fast, but upright, confident, and steady. Every step now feels like a statement. He said, that I'm still here, that I'm still moving forward. Mobility is more than movement, it's agency. It's the quiet power to get up when you want, to go where you please, to stand tall in the world with independence and purpose. And when it begins to fade, something far deeper than physical strength is challenged. It's your sense of self. For older adults like John, and for millions of others, the decline in mobility doesn't just mean shorter walks or slower steps. It means reconsidering how they engage with their home, their community, and even their identity. Suddenly, the stairs look steeper, the bathroom feels riskier, the invitation to visit a friend turns into a quiet, maybe next time. But here's the truth that needs to be spoken clearly. You are not powerless. Mobility may change, but motion can remain. Movement doesn't need to be grand to be meaningful. A stretch, a shift, a single step forward. These are victories. These are testaments to your resilience. Strength isn't found in what you used to do. It's found in what you choose to keep doing. Despite the challenges, the body you live in today deserves love, not comparison. It deserves support, not shame. And most of all, it deserves motion, not stagnation. If you're afraid to fall, start with balance training. If you're feeling stiff, stretch in the morning sun. If you stop walking, stand by the window and sway to music you love. Start small, start safe, but start, because each time you rise, literally or metaphorically, you reclaim not just your balance, but your confidence, your joy, your voice. So honor the steps you can take, whether they're on a hiking trail, down the hallway, or simply from your chair to the door. They're all steps toward life. You don't have to walk fast. You don't have to walk far. You just had to keep walking toward the life you still want to live. Chapter 8. The Sleep Struggle, Restless Nights and Early Mornings. The story. Margaret's midnight clock. Margaret, age 77, used to be a heavy sleeper. Back in her 40s, her family would joke that a thunderstorm couldn't wake her once she was out. But lately, she found herself staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m., night after night. She would go to bed feeling tired, but within hours, her eyes would fly open, her mind raced, her body ached. She'd toss, turn, wander into the kitchen, make tea, read a few pages, go back to bed, repeat. By 5 a.m., she'd give up and start the day. Already worn down, the worst part wasn't the exhaustion, it was the loneliness. The world feels so far away at 3 a.m., she said. Like I'm the only one awake in the universe. Margaret tried warm milk, lavender spray, white noise, fewer naps, but nothing seemed to restore her old rhythm. I just want to sleep through the night again, she whispered to her doctor one day. Is that too much to ask? The reality. How aging changes sleep. As we grow older, our sleep patterns naturally shift. The National Sleep Foundation reports that adults over 65 commonly experience lighter sleep with more frequent waking, earlier bedtimes and wake times, advanced sleep phase syndrome, shorter REM cycles, which can affect mental clarity and emotional balance, increased nighttime urination, pain, or medication effects disrupting rest. These changes are normal, but they're not easy. Sleep, once automatic, becomes a puzzle, and for many seniors, insomnia or fragmented sleep becomes not just frustrating, but deeply isolating. What you can do: gentle, science-backed solutions. 1. Keep a sleep journal. Track your habits, patterns, and disruptions. Knowledge creates clarity. 2. Set a consistent routine. Go to bed and wake up at the same time daily, even on weekends. 3. Limit late stimulants. Avoid caffeine after 2 p.m. and minimize sugar and alcohol in the evening. 4. Create a wind-down ritual. Gentle music, a warm bath, light stretching, or reading can signal your brain it's time to rest. 5. Limit screen time. Blue light from phones and TVs disrupts melatonin production. Use dim light after dusk. 6. Stay active during the day. Light exercise in the morning or early afternoon promotes deeper nighttime sleep. 7. Talk to your doctor. Sleep disorders like apnea, restless legs, or medication interactions could be interfering. Real-life insight. Embracing rest over perfection. Margaret eventually stopped chasing perfect sleep. Instead, she focused on restfulness. She built a nighttime routine like a soft landing, soft music, warm socks, a prayer of gratitude, and a gentle herbal tea. She turned her bedroom into a sanctuary, not a battleground. She still woke up occasionally, but when she did, she no longer panicked. She listened to the wind, journaled, then gently returned to sleep, or simply rested in peace. "I may not sleep like I used to," she said, "but I rest with more intention than ever." Takeaway: aging changes your sleep, but it doesn't have to steal your peace. Sleep in our later years is not what it once was. The long stretches of uninterrupted slumber may fade, but what remains and what can grow is a gentler, more intentional form of rest, one that honors where your body is now, not where it used to be. We often think of sleep as a simple on-off switch, but as we age, sleep becomes more like a dial, one we must learn to tune with care, patience, and grace. It is not failure when you wake in the night. It is simply the body shifting into a new rhythm. And within this new rhythm, there is an opportunity to listen to the breath, to the heart, to the quiet that only nighttime offers. An opportunity to trade 8 hours of unconsciousness for moments of mindfulness, self-compassion, and calm. Margaret taught us that we don't need to sleep perfectly to live meaningfully. By embracing restfulness over perfection, she discovered something deeper, a sense of presence, of peace, of no longer fighting the night but softening into it. You can do the same. Redefine rest on your own terms. Create bedtime rituals that soothe your spirit. Accept that rest may come in waves rather than hours. And know that every body, yes, even yours, is worthy of rest, renewal, and morning light. Because restful sleep isn't just about the night, it's what fuels your laughter, your movement, your clarity, and your joy in the day that follows. So rest not in fear, but in trust. Trust that your body knows how to recover. Trust that your mind deserves stillness. And trust that sleep, even when imperfect, can still be sacred. Chapter 9. Fading Senses, When Sight and Hearing Let You Down. The story: Daniel's birthday dinner. Daniel was excited. He was turning 80, and his granddaughter Lily had planned a family dinner at his favorite Italian restaurant. When they arrived, the table was full: kids, grandkids, in-laws. The lights were warm, the plates steaming, the conversation buzzing. But as the night went on, Daniel found himself nodding more than speaking. The clatter of dishes, music overhead, and overlapping conversations created a blur of noise. He leaned in, asked people to repeat themselves, smiled when he didn't catch what was said. It was easier than admitting he couldn't hear. Then came the menu. Small font, dim light. He squinted, asked Lily to read it aloud, pretended his glasses were dotty. Inside, he felt frustration, embarrassment, distance. Everyone's talking, he later told me, but I feel like I'm on the other side of a glass wall. Daniel's hearing loss and vision changes didn't happen overnight, but like many older adults, he'd learned to adapt, sometimes by withdrawing. And that's when the senses don't just fade, they isolate. The reality, a silent, blurry battle. Hearing and vision loss are among the most common and most under-addressed issues in aging. The CDC estimates 1 in 3 people over 65 has hearing loss. 1 in 4 adults over 70 has vision impairment. Even with glasses, these changes can lead to miscommunication, social withdrawal, balance issues, depression, and cognitive decline. They reduce confidence, increase risk of falls, and silently shape how older adults experience the world. Why it happens: presbycusis, age-related hearing loss due to changes in the inner ear. Macular degeneration, cataracts, glaucoma, common age-related vision conditions. Medication side effects in chronic illness, like diabetes, also affect eye and ear health. What you can do: seeing and hearing yourself again. 1. Get regular screenings. Annual eye exams and hearing tests catch issues early. 2. Use assistive tools, glasses, magnifiers, hearing aids. These are instruments of independence, not weakness. 3. Upgrade your environment. Better lighting, lower background noise, large print labels, subtitles on TV. 4. Be honest. Well, people you didn't hear, ask them to face you. Communication isn't just your responsibility. 5. Join supportive communities. Local or online groups normalize sensory loss and share real solutions. 6. Train your brain. Listening exercises, lip reading, and audio therapy can retrain processing pathways. Real-life insight. Reconnecting with the world. After the birthday dinner, Daniel made 2 decisions. He got a hearing test and was fitted for small, comfortable hearing aids. Then he got his eyeglass prescription updated and bought a magnifier for menus. The next time he met Lily for lunch, he read the specials aloud himself and laughed at a joke he hadn't heard in years. "I didn't realize how much life I'd been missing," he said, until I could hear it again. When our senses fade, we can start to feel like life is happening without us. That laughter becomes a blur. That the words on a page or the voice of a loved one slip away like fog on glass. But sensory decline is not the end of connection. It is the beginning of a different kind, one built not on sharpness or perfection, but on adaptation, honesty, and persistence. Losing clarity in your vision doesn't mean you lose the ability to witness beauty. Struggling to hear doesn't mean you stop being part of the conversation. It simply means the way in is different now, and the courage to take that new way in, that is what keeps you present in the world. The truth is, tools like glasses, magnifiers, and hearing aids are not symbols of decline. They're symbols of defiance, of care, of choosing not to fade quietly into the background. Every time you advocate for yourself, when you ask someone to repeat something, or brighten the lights, or speak clearly, you're saying, "I still belong here. I still matter." Too many people suffer in silence, afraid of being a burden, of admitting change. But there is nothing shameful about growing older. There is only dignity in the act of continuing to show up. Fully, boldly, adaptively. So if your world is getting quieter, speak louder. If it's growing blurrier, ask for focus. If things feel dimmer, find your way back into the light, whatever tools or support that takes. Because the point is not to live unchanged. The point is to live engaged. Let people hear you. Let people see you. Most of all, let yourself feel worthy of being heard and seen. Your senses may shift, but your soul is vivid. Your life is still bright, and your presence is needed, just as you are. Chapter 10. Temperature sensitivity. When you're always too hot or too cold. The story. Nora's 2 blankets. Nora Jacobs had always loved winter. She was born in Maine, grew up with snowflakes on the windowsill, and raised her children with traditions of hot cocoa, knitted scarves, and long, brisk walks through the frost. But lately, things had changed. At 72, Nora found herself chilled even on mild days. Her hands trembled when she held a ceramic mug. She wore 2 pairs of socks around the house. And still, she felt cold. Summer brought no relief. Now even light humidity left her feeling flushed, dizzy, and wiped out by noon. She couldn't regulate her comfort. Her body no longer obeyed the weather. One day, her daughter noticed the thermostat set to 81 degrees Fahrenheit and Nora wrapped in 2 blankets. "Mom," she asked gently, "are you okay?" Nora hesitated. "I don't know," she said. "I just don't feel like myself anymore." The reality, when internal thermostats shift, as we age, our bodies become less efficient at regulating temperature. The body's internal thermostat, controlled by the hypothalamus, responds more slowly to changes in weather, activity, or room conditions. Research shows that seniors are more prone to both hypothermia, dangerously low body temperature, and hyperthermia, overheating. Age-related changes such as thinner skin, reduced fat insulation, slower circulation, medications, and chronic illnesses all contribute. This isn't just a comfort issue, it's a safety concern. Why it happens? Reduced sweat gland activity and decreased skin elasticity impair heat dissipation. Lower muscle mass and blood vessel responsiveness hinder warmth retention. Common medications like beta blockers or diuretics interfere with temperature regulation. Chronic conditions such as diabetes, hypothyroidism, and cardiovascular issues worsen sensitivity. What you can do: warming and cooling with intention. 1. Dress in layers. Easy to remove clothing lets you adapt quickly to fluctuating body temperature. 2. Warm the extremities. Wear socks, gloves, and scarves indoors when needed. 3. Hydrate well. Dehydration exaggerates heat sensitivity and weakens circulation. 4. Adjust environment. Use fans, space heaters, heated blankets, and cooling cloths wisely. Don't rely solely on central air. 5. Schedule smartly. Avoid outdoor activity in extreme weather. Mornings and evenings are safer for movement. 6. Eat for warmth and balance. Hot meals increase circulation. Cooling fruits and vegetables help in summer. 7. Talk to your doctor. Temperature sensitivity may point to treatable issues like anemia or hormonal imbalance. Real-life insight. Redefining comfort as an act of self-respect. Nora eventually made peace with her sensitivity. She stopped comparing herself to who she used to be. She bought a heated mattress pad, wore lighter pajamas in summer, and stopped apologizing for carrying a shawl to church. I used to think it was silly, she said, but now I realize that being warm or cool enough isn't a luxury. It's what lets me enjoy the moment again. Temperature sensitivity isn't a quirk, it's your body asking for compassion. As we age, our ability to self-regulate heat and cold shifts in subtle but meaningful ways. A light breeze that once felt refreshing now sends a chill through your bones. A sunny afternoon that once lifted your spirits may now drain your energy before lunch. These changes aren't weaknesses, they're signals, your body's quiet way of asking for care. And yet, so many older adults dismiss or downplay this discomfort. They bundle up silently, avoid gatherings quietly, or stay indoors to avoid extremes. Not because they want to, but because they don't want to be a bother. Or seem like they've become too sensitive. But here's the truth. Honoring your comfort is not a burden, it's a form of self-respect. When you take the time to prepare for warmth or seek relief from heat, you're telling yourself that your needs still matter, that your well-being is worth protecting, that you are not simply enduring aging, you are actively participating in it. With wisdom and grace, adapting to temperature sensitivity is not about fear, it's about freedom. The freedom to stay in the moment instead of struggling through it. The freedom to go on walks again, to enjoy gatherings again, to show up in your own life without hesitation. Comfort isn't a luxury, it's a doorway to presence, to peace, to participation. So don't hesitate to carry the shawl, turn up the heat, or place the cold cloth on your forehead. These small acts are not indulgent, they are intelligent, intuitive, and deeply humane. Give your body what it needs, not what it once needed. This chapter of life deserves comfort not as an afterthought, but as a priority. Because when you're physically at ease, your mind can wander, your heart can open, and your spirit can rest. And in the end, that's not just comfort, that's quality of life. Chapter 11. Emotional Volatility, the Unexpected Mood Swings. The story. Leonard's sudden outbursts. Leonard was always the peacemaker of the family. A gentle man, measured in his tone, patient with his grandkids, calm in conflict. But in the past year, something shifted. It started with irritability, a sharp word when his wife asked him to repeat himself, a slammed cabinet door when he misplaced his glasses. Then came the unexpected tears during a news story about a missing child. And once, while trying to assemble a lamp, he cursed and kicked it across the room. "I don't know what's happening to me," he confessed. "I feel like I'm on a roller coaster, and I don't know where the brakes are." Leonard isn't alone. As we age, emotional regulation can change just as dramatically as physical health. But because emotions are invisible, many older adults suffer in silence, fearing they're losing control or worse. Their mind, the reality, the brain ages too. Aging affects the brain's ability to process, regulate, and recover from emotional experiences. This is due to a number of interconnected factors. Hormonal shifts, including reduced testosterone or estrogen, can cause mood instability. Neurological changes in the prefrontal cortex and amygdala affect emotional filtering and control. Chronic health conditions, pain, sleep disruption, or medication side effects can heighten emotional sensitivity. Losses of friends, identity, independence, compound feelings of grief and vulnerability. It's no wonder many older adults experience unexplained waves of sadness, frustration, or anxiety, even when their lives seem stable. What you can do: making peace with big feelings. 1. Name the feeling. Labeling emotions helps reduce their intensity. Instead of "I'm losing it," try "I'm overwhelmed" or "I'm grieving." 2. Create safe expression outlets. Journaling, art, prayer, or talking to a friend can help process what words sometimes can't. 3. Move your body. Gentle walks, stretching, or yoga calm the nervous system and reduce emotional overload. 4. Track triggers. Keep a log of when and why emotions spike. Patterns can reveal both external causes and internal needs. 5. Seek professional support. A therapist, counselor, or geriatric specialist can help normalize your experience and offer tools for balance. 6. Talk openly with family. Let your loved ones know what you're experiencing. You don't need to hide what's human. Real-life insight, strength through vulnerability. Leonard eventually joined a men's group at his local community center. There, he met others who spoke honestly about the weight they carried, grief, confusion, unspoken fears. They shared strategies. They laughed. They cried. He still had moments, but now he had context. He had language. He had support. I thought I was falling apart. He said, turns out, I was just being human. And I didn't have to do it alone. Mood swings in aging don't make you unstable. They make you human, deeply, sensitively, beautifully human. As we age, we are asked to carry more than ever before. We carry the weight of memory, of losses and gains, of decades of responsibility. We carry the echoes of people we've loved and the realities of bodies that don't move or rest the way they once did. And in the midst of all that, our emotional foundations begin to shift. It's not just about sadness or anger, it's about the layered, complicated experience of living a long life. You may cry unexpectedly, feel frustration over things that used to roll off your back, or feel anxiety creep in during quiet moments. These aren't flaws in your character. They are messages from your nervous system asking to be acknowledged. Let go of the pressure to stay composed all the time. Give yourself the same grace you would give a friend. When your moods swing, don't retreat. Reach inward with understanding. Reach outward with trust. You are not too much. You are not losing it. You are responding to life fully, honestly, and with a heart that still feels deeply. Talk to someone. Write down what rises. Step outside when the air feels too heavy. Ask for a moment when the room feels too loud. These are not retreats. They are self-awareness in motion. Because emotional volatility isn't a breakdown. It's a breakthrough. It's your soul demanding to be felt, not filtered. So ride the wave, breathe through the surge, and know that each moment you allow your emotions to exist without shame, you are giving yourself the gift of true emotional freedom. That is not instability. That is maturity, honesty, and courage in its most intimate form. Chapter 12. The Independence Shift, Asking for Help Without Losing Yourself. The story. Evelyn in the grocery bags. Evelyn had always been fiercely independent. Widowed in her early 60s, she managed her household, her finances, her garden, and even her leaking roof without ever asking for help. If I can stand, I can do it, she used to say. But at 78, that motto had started to betray her. One afternoon, returning from the store with 2 heavy grocery bags, she stumbled on her front step. The bags spilled, a carton of eggs cracked, and she scraped her elbow on the stone path. She wasn't badly hurt, but she was shaken. Later that evening, her daughter offered gently, "Why don't you let me do the shopping from now on?" Evelyn forced a smile, nodded politely, and changed the subject. But inside, she felt something deeper, something close to grief. Not over a fall, but over the fear that her independence was beginning to slip away. The reality: independence isn't all or nothing. One of the hardest emotional hurdles in aging is this: recognizing when it's time to ask for help without feeling like you're giving up control. We've been taught to equate independence with self-worth, and needing assistance, whether with meals, errands, technology, or personal care, can feel like a loss of identity. But here's the truth: aging with grace doesn't mean doing everything alone. It means knowing when to hold on and when to reach out. Asking for help doesn't mean weakness. It means wisdom. Why this is so difficult? Fear of burdening others are becoming a problem. Pride in privacy, especially for those who were caregivers themselves. Cultural narratives that idolize independence and devalue interdependence. Emotional pain associated with needing help, grief, shame, loss of confidence. What you can do. Redefining help as empowerment. 1. Reframe the narrative. Help doesn't mean giving up. It means preserving energy for what matters most. 2. Start small. Accept help with tasks that are physically risky or tiring first. 3. Choose your team. Identify trusted people, family, friends, neighbors, who make you feel safe and respected. 4. Practice saying yes. Let yes be an act of courage, not defeat. 5. Establish boundaries. Accept help without giving up your voice. You can receive support and still make the decisions. 6. Offer in return. Share your time, your wisdom, your stories. Reciprocity matters and keeps dignity intact. Real-life insight. Control through connection. Evelyn eventually made a decision. She let her daughter do the grocery shopping but asked to stay involved by writing the list and planning the meals together. She hired a neighbor's son to help with yard work and spent her saved energy planting flowers. And she joined a local women's circle where members exchanged help, rides for recipes, tech tips for baked goods. I haven't lost my independence, she said. I've just rebuilt it with company. Independence isn't doing everything by yourself. It's about knowing what truly matters to you and finding sustainable, supportive ways to keep doing those things with grace. For so many of us, aging brings a quiet fear that asking for help means we've failed, that needing assistance marks the beginning of decline, of being forgotten, or even of becoming invisible. But what if we saw it differently? What if asking for help wasn't about losing autonomy, but about preserving energy for what brings us joy? What if interdependence, giving and receiving support, wasn't a threat to dignity, but a pathway to a deeper kind of freedom? You are not less capable when you reach out. You are not diminished when you let someone in. You are choosing to adapt, not surrender. You are choosing presence, not perfection. When you allow others to help, you invite connection. You open the door to conversations, shared laughter, new stories, and you remind yourself and those around you that strength looks different in every season of life. Your value isn't tied to how much you can carry alone. It's found in how honestly you live, how deeply you connect, and how wisely you care for yourself and others. So ask for help, not because you've fallen, but because you're ready to rise in a new way. Because there's no shame in shifting the way you walk through the world. There's only courage in choosing to walk together. As we reach the end of this journey through the 12 uncomfortable truths of aging, one truth rises above them all. Getting older is not a problem to be solved. It's a transformation to be honored. Each chapter we explored, whether it was about memory loss, mood swings, reduced mobility, or the challenge of asking for help, offered something deeper than discomfort. It offered insight, growth, and an invitation to meet yourself where you are, with honesty and grace. These truths aren't meant to scare you. They're here to set you free. Free from shame, free from unrealistic expectations, free to live your later years with eyes wide open and heart fully engaged. Because aging is not about disappearing, it's about becoming more real than ever before. You are still here, still learning, still capable of laughter, reinvention, and deep connection. So whether you've just begun noticing these changes, or you've been walking this path for a while now, know this: you are not alone. And you are not broken. You are growing. We hope today's stories and reflections have helped you feel seen, heard, and empowered. If they did, we'd love for you to help us grow this community. Like this video if it resonated with you. It lets the YouTube algorithm know this content matters. Subscribe to Daily Elder Advice and click the bell icon so you never miss another story that speaks to your heart. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your wisdom and experiences might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And if you know someone who's navigating the quiet changes of aging, please share this video with them. It might just help them feel less alone. At Daily Elder Advice, we believe aging isn't about fading, it's about rising, reflecting, and rewriting what it means to live well. One honest conversation at a time. Until next time, take gentle care of yourself, speak kindly to your heart, and remember, you're not just aging, you're evolving, and you're doing it beautifully.